Hello and welcome back to the Three Hamster Boys podcast. We are in for a doozy. This episode, we're going to be talking about duos. That's why I said doozy. I was trying to get a little
alliteration.
Yeah, a little alliteration going, but then I was like,
boy, that's clever.
Yeah, I'm so smart.
Double trouble, duo,
Double
disasters.
Trouble. Oh, man.
Episode 13.
I'm glad someone's keeping track of
Lucky
the
number.
Yeah, lucky number 13. My favorite number.
Oh, we should have done something like Halloween related.
Little spooky.
Yeah, a little spooky for episode 13, but instead I chose some just silly duos.
We'll save that for episode 113.
Right, there you go. Yeah, when we get there.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep into talking about what we're doing today, I want to know what we're drinking today. Nick, what do we got?
Alrighty, we got an interesting drink today coming from our friends over at Chesapeake Bay Distillery. If you recall, they are the ones that did the Ghost Pepper Tequila and the Ghost Pepper Vodka.
They're both really good.
We are straying slightly away from the spiced into spices. So we have a herbal and a bourbon aged tequila. So it's another tequila episode.
But it's going to be different.
It's going to be very different. And to start it off, you know how I love to have just a sort of straight vessel that we can just taste the alcohol as is while it being still somewhat palatable.
Yeah.
So on the website of Dr. Stoner's, which is the brand of this tequila, it recommends a bourbon, or a old fashioned.
Yep.
So we just did that, and I'm hoping that it's good.
We've got an old fashioned here.
It's an old fashioned.
Let's get it. Our ice maker is struggling, so maybe not the ice we
It'll be a
normally
little
want.
cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That is a very different tequila.
I mean, this is a very different old-fashioned, like, overall.
Very, very interesting.
So we're not describing it. So basically it's just a tequila. Just a tequila.
Yeah.
You added some sugar
Yes.
and
Bitters.
bitters.
I can see my sugar has made it to the bottom of
Yeah,
the glass.
it's sitting comfortably at the bottom.
Yeah.
So usually you muddle some cherries and sugar in the bottom.
It's true.
I was about to say, what normally goes into an old-fashioned?
It's cherries and sugar and a little bit of orange peel. And I think that the herbalness of the tequila, you get that kind of fruit essence in it.
You get something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say fruit essence. That's not exactly what I'm tasting.
Well, I'm getting this little bit of, I don't know, sweetness in the middle of my tongue.
Yeah.
That is not just the sugar. It's something else that's coming out. And the tequila does not taste like a normal tequila. It's got the age taste to it.
He's looking at me, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to say about
I'm trying
this.
to absorb.
I am taken aback, but in a good way. This is not a typical tequila that
It
you would
is
drink.
hard to describe
Yeah.
because I don't know where to place the flavor.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. It is, you taste it, and you're like, what is this? How do I even, like, place this? So I think you're doing a great job of, like, kind of going through the experience of it. And, yeah, there is a little bit of sweetness, and you're right. I think it's a little bit more than just the sugar, but it is strange.
And it's not. It doesn't have the harshness of tequila.
No. It doesn't have like the alcohol swab.
Yeah.
You guys are drinking bad tequila.
That's true.
But yeah, but yeah, and the color of it makes it kind of feel like it's in between a gold and a silver tequila. Too.
Yeah, but it has something else.
It looks very gold to
Yeah.
me.
Well, it would be a darker gold.
Right.
But yeah, I do like it.
Yeah.
It's very different. Very, very different.
I like it too. Really interesting. All right, Dad, since you're already on a train of talking, why don't you kick us off here?
So we were kind of joking about it. Duos is kind of such a broad topic.
Yeah.
And, we were going, do we need to focus it? Do we need to make it wider? Immediately when I thought duo, I said peanut butter and chocolate. And they're like, well, that's not a duo. But anyway.
I didn't even think you would say that. Like peanut butter and jelly. Yeah. Like,
no, I'm a Reese's guy.
Okay, sure.
Right. When we had originally kind of thrown out this idea, there wasn't a lot of structure around it. We try to at least go for something with a little bit more structure. But I do think it's really interesting that all three of us went in very different directions.
Yeah, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, no, me too. I think it's interesting, and I think it leaves the door open for future episodes if we did want to get a little bit more specific about talking about things like this. But yeah, okay. We did veto peanut butter jelly, peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
We were hoping for more like characters.
Yes.
People.
Yeah.
So because of that, I went another different way. So my three duos are from my childhood. Okay. And so
Don't need to brag, mine are too, but
so I think that they're going to be essentially 50 years old at least.
mine are not going to be that old.
No, mine are not.
So my first pair is actual real people, but they kind of play a character, and that's Abbott and Costello. I loved the Who's on First thing. I actually did that in a talent show with somebody in the 6th grade.
Really quickly for our listeners, viewers under the ages of 30 or 40.
Or 50.
Who are Abbott and Costello? What is the first base thing that you're referring to?
So Abbott and Costello were a duo. Actually, they started in Vaudeville, and then they went to kind of the first talkies, and then they actually had a television show on the first parts of TV. And what they did with this act was the one guy goes, so what are you doing? And the other guy goes, well, I'm helping to manage a baseball team. And the guy goes, well, can you tell me some of the players? And he goes, yeah, sure. Ask me about any of the players. And the guy goes, okay, what are your players? Tell me your players. And he goes, well, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. And they go, yes, I want to know the names of the player. Who's on first base? Yes, of course. Well, who's the person that gets the check? Yes. Why wouldn't he get the check? And so it's kind of this whole thing. And then you end up getting the pitchers today and tomorrow. And then it ends up on a thing. But it's this really rapid fire back and forth. And you're just, the timing, the essence of it is so silly, and no matter when you see it, no matter how old you are, and the first time I saw it, it was probably 40 years old when I saw it.
Right.
And it has been something that you see in cartoons, you see in other media. I actually saw a YouTuber say he'd never seen this before, and he watched it, and he was like, well, this is spectacular because it's just so... It is simplistic in the nature of it, but it just shows two people working off of each other.
It's also just such a clever and fun, like, repeating sort of... It's like a game.
Yeah. And
true, actually. It's very like quick and witty, and when I think about Abbott and Costello, I kind of think of like they're kind of like the OG like sketch writers.
Yeah.
Because like growing up, we were watching like College Humor, you know, or even like older than that, other kind of sketch writers at the time.
And it's the same thing. So Vaudeville was basically on stage. It was very local. It was very intimate. There were small places that were playing, and not many vaudeville acts got out of vaudeville. Right. They couldn't be in silent films because a lot of what they did was vocalizing and whatever. So they had this period of silent films where silent films were getting popular, but they weren't going to be part of it.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of acts that got out, like Milton Berle in the 50s. He started in vaudeville. You have there's just particular people, but by the time they got to TV, they were already 50 or 60 years old.
Yeah.
And so they really didn't make it past, say, the 60s.
Well, I think it's really interesting that they're exploring a genre, a media, because like this is a skit that was like televised, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a recording of this, which I think is really interesting because they're exploring the kind of like vocal aspect of it, of being like witty and bouncing off of each other, versus you think about like other people like Charlie Chaplin, who are really going for that like silent movie kind of
well, they
like very physical.
Yeah, very physical comedy.
So they transitioned into radio initially. So there was a lot of radio.
See, I can see that. You can definitely do that.
And that act is definitely
yeah.
Because their voices are different enough.
Yeah.
You could hear the two voices playing off each other.
And they're just standing there.
Right,
The visual doesn't add anything.
No, the visual does not add anything.
Maybe just like physical frustration.
Well, the other thing is that they're physically very different. They're like Laurel and Hardy, right? One guy is a...
Sorry, what's that one?
Laurel and Hardy. It's basically like a tall, lanky guy and then a shorter, rounder guy.
Bigger guy.
Yeah. It's
Sorry.
like stereotypical.
Yeah. It's I think that they're the ones that
maybe
like
they are the stereotype.
they are the reason why there is that stereotype.
Yeah, I mean, Laurel and Hardy was before these guys, so they were the original ones.
They've like established like the funny man and the straight man,
right?
And like and all and stuff like that.
Both in size and also in like the demeanor.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're throwing out. Abbott and Costello. Do they have anything else that they're known for? I feel like I only know them for that
So
one.
they have probably 15, 20 movies.
Yeah, they have movies
Okay,
where they
whole movie.
Yeah, and they're like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, meet Dracula. There's a bunch of these that
like supernatural bits,
Yeah,
like they just get
okay.
like play into.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
and then they always have this gorgeous leading lady as a foil to them.
Of course.
And so there's always a monster or a bad guy, but there's also one where they like Abbott and Costello join the army, so it follows them through boot camp and then fighting the Germans or the Japanese
Great.
in the 40s.
Would that be considered American propaganda for
wartime? I would say that there was a lot of stereotypes in it because they were trying to stereotype either Japanese or German fighters.
Okay.
It's not any different. So another group, a pair that came out was Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Bing Crosby was a singer. Bob Hope was a comedian. They used to do these movies where they would travel and they would be like, they go to Morocco or they go to Egypt or whatever. So,
okay, I feel like I slightly interrupted you to kind of get the backstory of Abbott and Costello because I don't think everyone would know why. Because you've mentioned now two other different kind of comedy duos here. Why Abbott and Costello particularly?
So number one, when I saw this bit, I loved it, and then I started watching the movies, and I just they were slapstick. But they were more. They were smarter. They weren't the Three Stooges. They were smarter. They were talking like there's one where the guy says, "Okay, Abbott, I need for you to pay the rent." And he says, "For this many weeks, I need this," and he does a math board and he changes the math around so he doesn't know enough.
Okay.
So it is a smarter Three Stooges. There's some slapstick in it, but in general, it's much more them talking and
it's the wit and banter.
Yeah,
it's a wit and banter.
I was going to say much more banter.
Much more wit and banter because Three Stooges do not a lot of wit in that.
Yeah.
There's just banter and hitting.
Yeah, but sometimes you like a little.
No. I do not.
Listen, if we ever do a trios, I would bet money that the Three Stooges would end up on his list.
Three Stooges would
Yeah.
come up.
But anyways, so in the 70s, I watched these older movies, and I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And so they were fun. I'm not a really big scary movie guy.
Yeah.
But these were fun movies where you see Frankenstein and Dracula.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't necessarily think that they're necessarily scary.
No.
Maybe the costumes are a little bit scary, but once you have like two funny guys, just kind of.
Well, they would the people that were doing like Dracula was the classic people that did it.
Of course.
Yeah.
From the 40s and 50s. So
this kind of feels like Scary Movie.
yeah.
That kind of franchise where it's
where it's like almost like a parody or like a mock of it.
Yeah, and they did. They it was a parody, but then they used the stars that were like Vincent Price played Dracula, which was traditionally the Dracula that was in the serious movies.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
which must be fun for him because he gets to break out of like you have to play Dracula, but
yeah.
these guys are gonna say something silly about onions and your fangs or whatever.
Yeah. So that was why they were fun movies. They were usually on like you could watch them on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And so they're just once again it's something that I grew up as a kid seeing.
Yeah. Wow. Makes sense.
I love that. All right, Nick.
Hello.
Up to you. What is the duo that you're gonna kick us off with?
My very first duo. I think a lot of our picks just in general are for like our childhood.
Yeah.
That just because like we grew up with them and they're just iconic.
Right.
As well,
That's
right?
kind of my thought.
They're sort of like ingrained in our perspective. Like these are like iconic duos that you just can't beat.
Yeah.
So my first duo is Ash Ketchum and Pikachu.
I wanna be. Oh, sorry.
Anyways, right? Yeah. Like, if you think of Pokemon, you think of Pikachu, and by proxy, you think of Ash. Like they are always together, and since day one, right? They have been inseparable, right? They established it as a character where they're like Pikachu doesn't like to be on a ball. A ball.
Which honestly, the more I think about that, the more I'm like,
smartest Pokemon.
Don't put me back in there.
But I don't know, the original Pokemon series, there's just so much life and humor with like the team of like, Brock, Misty, Ash, and Pikachu. And then like that maintains through all the series.
Yeah.
But the consistent, like the side characters besides Ash and Pikachu, they rotate out, right? Like Brock is pretty consistent until like newer ones.
Yeah, but like they start switching out the.
But like you have May and Max who show up. You got Dawn. Like they rotate out, but. The consistent is Ash and Pikachu, and like they are.
And you watch this for years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's like a million episodes.
Yeah,
not a million, but there's a bunch.
There's a lot, and they're just a duo that's just always in sync, right? And then you talk about the movies, and like you're starting with the Mewtwo one where Ash gets turned to stone, and Pikachu is just like having his own like heartbreak moment, and you see it because. Pikachu is his own character. He never speaks, but he brings. I don't even know. Pikachu brings the life.
I was about to say Pikachu kind of brings sass and energy.
Yeah, and I think they're such a great duo that's just like unstoppable, right?
As I think one of the earlier episodes, Pikachu almost kills Ash.
Yeah, in episode 1, Pikachu's like, I don't want a trainer. Yeah. I just want to be. Big chillin'.
I want to be Pikachu.
Yeah.
So here's what's funny is that I can't remember when one of you was born, Steve, my brother, gave you a Pikachu.
Oh,
and so
it had to be you.
And so forever, when you would like rock and squeeze it, it would go Pikachu, Pikachu.
Nice.
And it would calm you down. To hear the
well, you just told that was actually my duo is going to be Nick and Pikachu.
No.
But yeah, it's funny because from the time, I guess when you were born, we had a Pikachu.
Yeah.
That you played with. So.
Sure.
Cool. I love that. I think that's very fun.
Yeah.
All right. Time for my duo, which again is kind of I realize now that all of my characters are basing off of nostalgia, kind of as what you're saying, kind of as what you were talking about as well. It's just kind of the characters that first popped into my mind when thinking about iconic duos or duos that are like easy and fun to talk about. This one I guess is technically a little bit before our time. You may have actually even read them in the newspaper, but my next duo is Calvin and Hobbes.
My favorite.
Wow. They're a classic.
Yeah. So obviously didn't really get much newspapers growing up.
Yeah.
So I do not remember seeing a newspaper till later. I used to get the books.
Yeah, that's where I've mainly seen them is in like the actual like bigger books.
But I don't think they started until the 80s.
Yeah, I believe Calvin and Hobbes ran from 1985 to 1995.
Yeah. Oh, you got the numbers.
Yeah. It was just for 10 years the creator of Calvin and Hobbes. Ooh, I'm not gonna say his name. His name is Bill. I don't remember his last name though. I want to say Watterson, but that might be wrong.
I think that's right.
It sounds.
Watterson.
You know what? I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna be throwing my.
We'll check during the break.
The creator of Calvin and Hobbes wanted the series to not kind of become serialized and be overplayed, and so because of that, he really wanted it to run for like a set period of time, and wanted to give it a conclusion. You know, at the time there were other big comic strips. I think Garfield is kind of that big one that people know a lot. And I think a lot of the complaints that I've heard about things like Garfield is that it's become over commercialized, where the heart of the comic is kind of gone. Versus Calvin and Hobbes, which is like done to done. You say everything you want to, and that's it.
I related so much with Calvin because I was just insanely just all out there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't think that's what you would say.
Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit?
Didn't like to eat the food that was presented for me.
Yeah.
I was always off some other thinking about something else.
You had a rebel soul.
Yeah.
I don't know whether rebel soul is the right word, but it was one of those. Here's what's funny is that this came out while I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started reading it, while I was in the Navy, I kept thinking, that's what I missed from my childhood.
Yeah.
Where I was just, because.
Your tiger?
Yeah.
Just as a real quick, in case you're not familiar with Calvin and Hobbes, which would be a little, but.
You might be young.
Yeah. It's about a 6-year-old boy and his stuffed tiger who. The story basically just takes place in this little boy's Calvin in his imagination, where just anything and everything happen. It's about growing up as a kid and thinking about things and like using your imagination and playing with your imaginary friend, which is like a Tigger-esque kind of tiger.
Yeah, it definitely has like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Sort of like Christopher Robin, but instead of Winnie the Pooh, you're hanging out with Tigger.
Yeah.
But like Hobbes is like own identity. He's not
kind of insane, like Dad was saying, where he's just got like tons of energy and is going all over the place.
Yeah. They tell him to go outside, and he's in the snow and he makes 100 little snowmen where there's like some war scene or some death scene or whatever, and then his mother tells him to come inside, and he goes, first you tell me to go outside, then you tell me to come inside.
It's like, yes, that's how a 6-year-old react, but they wouldn't be able to formulate the words to really express that.
You know, I think it was kind of I don't want to necessarily say the humor, but maybe it was the humor of the time, because I think of like Peanuts and like Charlie Brown kind of having a similar mentality of like saying things that like a child wouldn't normally say,
right?
Or like having some sort of commentary that you're like, a 6-year-old would not be thinking about, like
they wouldn't observe it from this perspective.
Yeah, they wouldn't observe it from this perspective, but it's really interesting when it is brought to you from this perspective.
Yeah, I think I love it, and I just related so much to it.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, my dad was out to sea all the time. My mom worked, and so we would come home from school and just me and Steve were just crazy. We could do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We definitely, even when we were very young, we were basically on our own. A neighbor across the street would make sure we were okay, but in general, we were just crazy and just did whatever we want. I mean, I remember when Steve and I got our bikes for the first time, and we were like 7 years old, and we went around the block, and then we were going toward each other, and neither one of us wanted to get out of it, so we ran head on into each other.
Nice.
You know, it was just we were
chaos incarnate.
Well, in Chicago, they had these 2-story buildings. We called them Flintstones because they were concrete square buildings where Navy housing was. Well, we had gotten 100 inches of snow, so the snow was piled up. So we were climbing on top of 2-story buildings and jumping off into the snow.
Yeah, that sounds about
yeah,
right.
that adds up.
Yeah.
So it struck me. I could really relate to it.
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of the comic. And I know this is kind of getting away from the duo itself, but I think the beauty of the comic is that a lot of people can relate to it because it's about being a kid, having imagination, and then also throwing in some like philosophy and like thoughts about consumerism and just the world as a whole.
Plus, Hobbs ends up being the angel on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Hobbs is always there going, well, she was right.
Yeah.
It's true.
You probably shouldn't have done that. Or, your mom's right.
Yeah. And I think it's also a way to like rationalize your conscience of being like your imaginary friend who is kind of gonna make you go crazy a little bit.
He's gonna support you, but he's gonna also hit you with like the reality.
Yeah.
But I think that the smart thing about the comic is that you see Hobbs as this real life creature that's walking and talking with Calvin, and then usually the next frame it's the stuffed animal on the ground.
Yeah, he's just kind of like dragging the stuffed animal behind him.
And so I think that was really smart how he did that because whenever he did that jump in frames, it was at a critical point.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love.
Well, that was great. I love that. That's a bit of a memory lane to kick us off.
It's a good
here.
start, I feel.
And I think for an a tequila old fashioned, this is a great way to start.
Unique, very unique.
Very unique. Yeah, I do like it.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, going to pour some new drinks, and when we come back, we'll have our second duo ready to go.
2 for 2s.
Yeah, 2 for 2. Gosh, double trouble. See in a second.
All right.
And we are back. We've got some new drinks in front of us. This looks like orange juice.
Yes.
Nick, what are we drinking?
How astute. You have sharp eyes over there.
I may have seen packets of orange juice downstairs.
Wow. Well, this is Sunshine in the Rain.
Oh, okay.
Little flair of a name.
Not to be confused with a tequila sunrise.
It's true.
Oh, true. I was wondering if we were going to have a tequila sunrise at some point.
Not this episode. Eventually we might.
Sure.
But this is a very fruity drink to our collection.
Okay.
Today, this is tequila, obviously. Pineapple juice, orange juice.
See, you're on the path of a tequila sunrise.
Yes. Lemon juice.
Okay.
Oh.
A lot of juices in here.
And then a allspice vanilla syrup.
Oh yeah, is that still the path of a tequila sunrise?
No.
And then a lot of tiki bitters or spiced bitters.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's a tiki?
It smelled like a licorice.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be this very special herbal bitters.
Yeah, and I thought that would complement well with what we're working with.
Not only that, but the allspice should give it almost a Christmassy taste to it.
Yeah.
Well,
all right,
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. It's healthy because it's got all the juices.
It's got a lot of juice.
I don't know. Whoa, that's an assumption or an assertion.
Ooh, I can immediately. Ooh.
Wow. Okay. This is great. I think the first thing that hits me is the allspice vanilla.
Yeah.
The aroma.
Yeah, and then I get the juices very quickly afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't even taste the tequila.
I think
you could drink.
I think I taste whatever the breath of it in the middle of your tongue. The one that we were mentioning before where like it has a weird fruity or herbal sense that lingers on your taste bud.
But it matches so well with the fruit
Yeah.
juices. Plus, I think that the allspice and vanilla, because I can really taste the vanilla too.
Yeah.
You're kind of right. You were like, oh, Christmassy. I was thinking like with all of the juices that I'd want to like be drinking this by the beach, but you're right. I feel like I do want to drink this at Christmas.
It does give like a Christmas vibe.
It's like It's like it's snowing outside, but I miss the beach and I want to drink.
Yeah. Well, it's sunshine in the rain.
It's sunshine in the rain. Yeah.
It's a dynamic, right? Because you're.
You know what? Actually, yeah, this would be a great. It's pouring rain outside.
Yeah.
And I want to have a fun drink. I think this is like exactly what.
If it's a little cold rain, you're like, oh, I got a little spice.
Oh, we're in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. They drink this every day. No.
I also really like
this one. This one's.
I think this one has a.
Very good.
Like you said, I can't taste the tequila in it, which is bad.
I can't taste the tequila.
Yeah.
Bad. I don't know.
I can just get the lingering essence of it.
No, I agree. It is one of those dangerous drinks. We've talked about these before on the show, but it's one of those dangerous drinks where you're drinking it and you're like, oh wait, I could just keep drinking.
And
this.
I wouldn't realize.
Yeah, and I would not realize that I'm just consuming.
I mean, because there's been times
tequila.
when we've had drinks that had 3 or 4 different alcohols in it, and we're like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so excited for round 3. We're already ready for round 3, boys.
All right, Nick, I'll have you kick us off here. What is your second duo?
My second duo.
I don't know why I went to that accent.
Is not from our childhood.
Okay.
But closer to our teenage years.
Yeah.
Man, one of the first games on the PlayStation 3.
Okay, I was about to say Spyro with Tomba 2.
No, that's on OG PlayStation. No. On PlayStation 3, where it was, I think, one of our very first ones on the PlayStation 3. I think when we bought the PlayStation 3 was Infamous 2.
Yeah.
But I think very, very shortly after was the Uncharted series.
Yes.
So the duo that has reigned consistently through it, not including the romance couple, is Nathan Drake, the main character, and Victor Sullivan, aka Sully.
Yep.
And they get up to some shenanigans together. If we were talking about Hobbs being the angel, Victor and Nate are both the devils, and they're just scheming and looking for the next historical moment.
So, a couple things with this is me and you used to watch him play.
Yeah.
And it was just great watching him play.
Yeah.
But this is really the first kind of, I guess Infamous 2 was really the first one, but this was one of those ones that was great campaign game, but you used to spend hours on the smaller games too, you know.
So I will say, in that regard, that was Uncharted 2.
Oh, that was Uncharted 2.
Because Uncharted 2 had a multiplayer mode, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Because it had a like a zombies-like mode where you would like be trying to survive, and then it also had like a deathmatch kind of situation.
Yeah.
Well, what was the one where like there was like a, this area where you could come in from either side, and there was these guys that were all armored up? Was that 3?
That might have been 2 still.
Okay. May have still been 2, yeah. Because I know that 3 tried to implement like a multiplayer, but it never really took off.
I don't think it did as well.
No. Yeah.
But it was crazy. We would spend hours down there watching.
Well, that's what I think is Infamous was one of those games that had a cinematic story, but it was mostly an open world game.
Yeah.
With like big kind of story beats. Uncharted was one of those games, one of the first games that I think we really played, where it was a railroad through and through. You are literally playing through your favorite action adventure movie.
Yeah.
Like it is
your own personal Indiana Jones.
Yeah, your own personal Indiana Jones, where you have a similar kind of hot boy deviant in Nathan Drake, who is like he's mostly the good guy, but
he definitely kills people.
Yeah, he's definitely there. He's there for the artifacts, but probably the money a little bit too. And yeah, he's not afraid to use a gun.
So which one was it where you're starting at like in the train and you're climbing up?
That is 2.
That is 2. Yeah.
I guess
no,
not
Uncharted.
Uncharted.
I said Infamous 2. Uncharted 2.
And it was that might be one of the best intros to a game.
Good intro too.
Yeah, because you open your eyes and all of a sudden you're dangling.
Yeah. The camera is angled so it looks like you're sitting, but then it adjusts and you're on your back looking down a train that's hanging off the side of a cliff, and you have a bullet wound in your stomach.
Yeah.
And you have to slowly climb out, and that is the beginning of the game. I think it is one of the best starts.
It's a great opener. I agree. I don't want to say Naughty Dog was in their peak when they were making Uncharted.
They don't stop though,
because I feel like when we're talking about Naughty Dog, they are just constantly making games that are insane over and over.
But returning to this thing.
Sorry, you mentioned Uncharted. We're gonna fanboy.
The actual dynamic is. We mentioned like a lot of like roles that people take.
Yeah.
And it's sort of established in the first game that Sully is some kind of mentor or guide to Nathan, but you don't get to see it until the third game, the fourth game, right? You don't get
the fourth game. Yeah, fourth game for sure.
Fourth game for sure. I think a little bit in the third game.
Because there's a spot where he's a child in the third one, right?
That's the fourth one.
That's the fourth one.
The fourth one really goes back to like Nathan Drake's kind of childhood.
Yeah. But you get to see their dynamic and their role even more, and then you understand how much they trust each other to such an extreme degree, right? Like they are scoundrels.
Yeah.
to put it simply.
Yeah.
But like they're scoundrels that would never stab each other in the back. Mm-hmm. Like through and through, if one looks like they're deviating from the other, it's probably in the other.
It's a scheme.
Yeah.
I think the game does do that a couple of times where you're like, Sully, come on. And he's like, yeah, sorry, I had to do this, kid. And you're like, oh, wait, no, he's got me.
Yeah. And they are the game a lot of the time. They are the banter. They're the quips, you know. Uncharted 1 starts with you and Sully wandering through the jungle and them just joking around on like how old Sully is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like you already set the tone on this like very casual but very, very trusting dynamic.
Yeah.
And through, they're so good. I mean, fourth game highlights how bought in Sully is to Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
I love it too. No, I think the banter is so well written. It's funny. It feels real.
Yeah.
Like you can really feel it. And then my kind of favorite thing about the Uncharted games is it's like Indiana Jones until near like the end / halfway point when it becomes like supernatural.
Yeah.
Well, Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it goes kind of a little bit further than what Indiana Jones likes to do.
I would say Indiana Jones, they have supernatural elements, but like you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Uncharted, it's like, oh, we're going to Crazy Town. Yeah. We are going to Crazy Town.
It is kind of funny. Like every time they're like, "What? How could this happen?
This is impossible."
It's like,
zombies.
Yeah.
We found an ancient city with Yetis.
Yeah.
Or sand powers or whatever.
Whatever 3 was.
God, I'm sorry, but I don't remember 3.
3, unfortunately, is the most forgettable.
Yeah.
It is a shame.
So sad. I love that. That is great.
It's a classic. I thought for sure you were like gonna lock that in.
I was thinking about it.
But there's no pet.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. I'll go next because you made a comment and I have to not defend myself but fall back into that stereotype. Yes, I realized when I was making my list, I went with duos that were a human and an animal companion, and I can't get away from it. I don't even like animals that much, if I'm gonna be honest.
Like in general?
Yeah, just in general.
Okay, all right.
Like they're fine. You know, I've met people that it's like, oh, if a cat or a human are hanging on a ledge, who do you save? And they're like, the cat, of course. And I'm like, yeah.
And then it'll scratch you once you say
it. Yeah. But anyways, my next duo, speaking of cats, is I think a very silly one. But sometimes you kind of need a silly one. Natsu Dragneel, I believe is his last name.
Yeah.
And Happy.
What's his last name?
Oh shoot! Is it Dragon Nail too?
No, I don't know.
I was like, I don't think Happy has the last.
So I don't know these.
Yeah.
This is from an anime called Fairy Tail. And it is fairy, like the mystical creatures, and tail, like what like animals have.
Oh.
Not the typical fairy tale.
Not the typical fairy tale. It is a anime about a world with magical guilds. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like high fantasy, medieval, but like close to contemporary.
Yeah, they have aspects that are more modern.
Yeah, like there are cars and trains.
But they're run off magic.
But they're magic powered, yeah. So it's kind of like steampunk, but like magic punk, I guess.
Yeah.
And Natsu is one of the main characters. I'd argue maybe the main character.
I'm not going to get into the thick of it. Whoever people say that is the alternative to the main character isn't. I'll just leave it at that. Is not.
But Natsu always has with him his best friend and a childhood kind of friend is this blue cat with wings named Happy. And
he talks.
Yeah, he talks. They're so belovedly like stupid.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
And I would say similar. They're like a comedy duo, and they're both playing the funny man.
There's no straight guy.
There's no straight guy.
And I feel like that there's just like they are so quotable. When I think of Fairy Tail, Happy and Natsu are the first people I think of.
It's true.
And I immediately think of like quotes from them. Like Happy going, "Oh, Urza's magic is so beautiful. She makes people bleed." And you're like, "What?"
Yeah. And honestly, they're so fun. I know you said it was like a joke one. And honestly, my gut reaction was like, that's the best duo. But like when you're talking about it, I'm like, yeah, they are two peas in a pod. They are literally inseparable. Yeah. They are always like near each other. They live in a house together. Yeah. Like Natsu doesn't treat him like a pet. It's like
it's his companion.
It's
like literally his best friend.
It's actually his best friend. Like when you look at their house, they have like separate bunks, and it is just a trash house. Yeah. There's just trash everywhere. And like they're always in sync. Like whenever like one goes to a bit, the other one immediately like hops on. So it's like they're like sneaking around a building, and Happy's like, "Shh, we gotta be quiet. We're like ninjas." And then Natsu would be like, "Yes," and then like wrap his scarf around his face and like silent. You know, like they're like always like on the same wavelength.
So it's like two fraternity bros.
Yeah, basically.
Honestly, that's pretty accurate.
Or they're like, "Oh, poor Natsu gets so motion sick," and then someone goes like, "Oh, what about when like Happy carries you? Why don't you get motion sick then?" And Natsu goes, "Happy's not a mode of transportation. He's my friend."
It's crazy. Yeah. See, this once again, I go back to it. Anime is so incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that you can explore so many different things.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of complicated feelings about Fairy Tail.
Yeah.
It has never really made it to the kind of big three status, but it was one of those long-running shonen anime. It might... I don't know. It stopped airing, I think. Maybe it's still airing. I don't know. There's been a lot of like renditions of it.
It ended after the 100-Year Quest, which was the latest anime release, which I think closes out where the manga ended.
Okay.
But there's been a lot, and I think there's over maybe close to 400 episodes.
Wow.
There are a lot of episodes. It never made it into like that big three status of like Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, or even kind of the new wave of big three that's happening here. But it was up there in one of those long-running shonen
It's
shows.
Quite well known.
Yeah.
At the very minimum.
And I will say it has a lot of flaws for sure.
Yeah.
I think I don't love all of the cast. I think perhaps some of the women in the show are not written well.
Especially the lead.
Yeah, the others.
Sorry, I have a lot of feelings about them main character of the show.
But I think even in the dub, I know this might be controversial, but I typically watch it dubbed.
Yep.
The delivery from Todd Haberkorn as Natsu is quite good, and the jokes, like, they made sure that when they were doing the translation, the jokes
translated.
Yeah. There is a joke that I was thinking about that I was like, oh man, I didn't even know what the original Japanese was, or like maybe it was the same joke, but the fact that they actually translated it, where Natsu's in a forest and he's hearing people talk to him, and he's looking around, he doesn't see anyone, and he goes, "Are you a ventriloquist?" And it's so stupid, but it's one of those jokes that just makes me laugh.
Yeah, that would be hard to...
Yeah, because
the word is not the same in Japanese.
It's absolutely
no shot.
Yeah.
No shot.
So I think like the care that went into some of these translation for some of these jokes is quite good.
And it heightened just the care that was put into the characters to make sure that their dynamics and just energy stay the same no matter what.
Because I know we've seen where dubs are just... That's a bad dub.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Sometimes it feels like rushed, or the sentences technically make sense, but when you like think about it, it doesn't.
You're like,
really
they could have
make
spent a
sense.
little, like a second or two longer to really flush that out.
Or, you get very iconic moments like Ghost Stories where they just said, "We do not care. You just do whatever you want with this." And you get like very funny.
You watched Ghost Stories with us.
Yeah, you've seen a couple episodes. Yeah, dig that hole digger.
Fill that hole filler.
Yeah, whatever they say.
Stop talking.
Anyways, yeah, so I think Natsu and Happy is kind of like a very fun duo.
I do like it.
Yeah. All right, Dad, finish us up with round 2.
What you got?
Once again, going back to my childhood, Saturday mornings, I always watched the Justice League.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Was it the Justice League or was it the Super Friends?
Oh, Super Friends. It was Super
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh, wait, because I was thinking about the animated Justice League that we watched.
Justice League Unlimited? Or
No, but
Ultimate?
it was called the Justice League, but it was a Super Friends.
Yeah.
It was a Justice Leagues and Super Friends.
Okay.
So the Justice League was, of course, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman.
Yeah. No Flash.
No Flash.
Okay.
And they would sometimes add in characters. Well, as the series went along, they added this brother and sister and monkey.
Monkey. Whoa, are you cheating?
No, the monkey was just a pet.
Not a friend.
Not a friend. So the I've forgotten their name. Anyways, the only thing I knew them as the Wonder Twins.
The Wonder Twins.
The Wonder Twins. And when they touch hands, they had a ring.
Yeah.
And they said, Wonder Twin powers activate.
It's like Captain Planet.
It's similar to Captain Planet.
God, I love that guy.
But the guy,
Yeah, the brother.
the brother, could be any water thing.
Water thing.
So, and they were purple.
Wait, when you say
Okay, you're
water thing,
being very abstract.
Yeah, wait a second.
What do you mean they're both purple?
I have so many questions.
They're both purple.
One-eyed,
They're
one-horned,
aliens.
giant purple people.
They're aliens,
Oh.
but they're drawn as humanoid.
Okay, so it's
Sure.
like Martian Manhunter, but purple instead of green.
Like
Yes.
Sinestro.
Okay, like Sinestro.
Yeah, that's a good. So, but they're young. They're like 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And
So-
when you say any water thing, he's turning into a geyser?
Geyser, I am a tidal wave or whatever.
Is he turning into fish?
No, only water things. I am a glass of water.
So forms of water.
So
A glass of
Wait, sorry,
water.
does it come with the glass too?
No.
Or is it just like water?
Just
in
water.
Like a glass
So he
of
goes.
water?
He would
It's
go.
16 ounces of water.
So he'll go form of a tidal wave, and then she could be any animal.
Oh, there's the fish.
I feel like he has gotten the raw end of the deal.
I
here.
feel like
So
it's pretty tough.
the problem is that right now I'm doubting myself whether I've got it backwards or not.
Oh.
One of them could be water. One of them could be an animal.
Okay.
So it was always like one was like a rhinoceros and the other one was a geyser, right? and it was the stupidest thing, but even to this day,
Yeah.
when you do fist bump, I always think Wonder Twin powers activate.
Okay.
Because they would touch rings and all of a sudden they would go do that.
Yeah.
And then and the one would go form of
toilet water.
Form of an ice cube.
An ice cube.
Whatever.
Oh wait. Okay, wait a second. Now we're getting into a little bit more.
Okay, forms of water.
Yeah.
That extends it farther instead of just like
water. 16-ounce glass of water.
I turn into a rain cloud now.
Yeah, you could be. It seems like such a silly thing, but
I think it's very silly, but it's kind of fun.
It is fun because you contrast that against. So they were in the Justice League, and someone was. They were.
It's kind of tough. You're like,
that's crazy.
Who are these kids? And then like Superman is like beating the crap out of like Lex Luthor.
Right. So or they're off doing something, and they're the only ones left in the office, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so they have to defend it.
Yeah.
Form of cleaning bucket. and then the sister's just mopping her brother.
So, but
form of fabuloso.
That's what I said. It's one of those crazy things, but they added it as like.
Oh, was it intentionally funny?
It was intentionally.
Okay.
Oh, so they're more like closer to a gag. Not to say that they themselves are a gag, but like
they were definitely because Batman was always serious. And
yeah, I guess when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about like Batman is like fighting the Joker, beating up, breaking bad guys' legs or whatever. Wonder Woman is fighting literal gods.
Yeah.
Superman is out there fighting Lex Luthor, building a new power suit, and then they're like, Wonder Twins activate. I'm a chimpanzee, and he is a puddle.
Yeah. Form of fishbowl. Form of fish. Wow, we've added to the ambiance of this fight.
And you're just watching through the lens of the fishbowl with the goldfish swimming around.
And it's a fish-eyed lens. And that would be the best bit ever. I am completely convinced by this. Why is this not your number one?
But anyway, so it was, and it's like I said, so after COVID, we did a lot more fist bumping.
Yeah.
So now every time, so when I'm at the bakery, and these very young kids that are 18
no
idea who it is. So I go, Wonder Twin powers, and they're like, what?
You're like, what did you do to me?
What spell did you just cast on me?
What are the Wonder Twins? What did you do to me?
And, then it's even funnier when I go, form of a tidal wave.
Yeah, that would be
okay.
Crazy.
Go further beyond. And then form of a water filter.
Form of a water fountain. So, but yeah, it's one of those. It was so insane compared to what you were seeing.
Yeah.
Because here they are saving the world. People are they're trying to stop an earthquake that's splitting the earth and whatever.
Yeah.
And then these two.
Someone turns into a bucket of water.
Yeah. They turn into a rain cloud.
Form of a rainbow.
Wow. That's awesome. I feel like we've heard about this a lot, and I'm sure I've seen them before.
I think I have.
Going a little more in depth with this is even funnier.
It's a really good bit.
For my 10-year-old brain, this was like awesome.
Yeah, true. No, I think it's the same when we saw like Beast Boy, where we're like the possibilities are endless. He could be any form of water. Are you kidding
it's
me?
Like Beast Boy with water too. I think having like the partnership adds to it because you're like, how can we combine our powers?
How could we make this better?
Yeah.
But right now, all I'm thinking is water and just fish, which feel useless in any
form of the ocean.
But yeah, so that's my second.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
I love that. Well, my drink is done. I really like this drink. I did have a bit of like the nutmeg vanilla, or what was it?
Allspice?
Allspice. There it is. Allspice at the bottom. So I had a bit.
Very, very condensed.
Yeah, but overall, love this drink.
Yeah, that was tasty.
The vanilla allspice is definitely a different combination. Not at all what I expected.
I wasn't expecting it, but it was good. Well, we'll see you for our next drink. Don't go anywhere. All right, here we are for our third and final segment. I don't really know how to not make this so formal when we're going from segment to segment, but we do need time to reset, get new glasses out here, make sure that we have either poured in the last final ingredient or, gotten everything that we need to.
Reset the camera.
Yeah. Reset everything that needs to happen. So it's going to be a little formal until I figure out a better way to do that. But that being said, Nick, what are we drinking? What do we have in front of us?
So this looks eerily similar.
I was about to say, also, it looks orange, but a little bit lighter than the last one.
I will warn you, though.
Okay.
This has way more going on than the other one. This is the Coletti Royale, which has our tequila, Contro, elderflower liqueur, and rosé champagne.
This sounds great.
No juices?
There is
no juices?
A little bit of lime juice.
Oh.
It's all alcohol.
Only for color.
For real.
Oh, and a slight amount of orange juice.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I was really worried that it wasn't going to have any orange juice.
The color is what's giving it away. This is orange juice and lime juice. Everything else is it's alcohol.
Yeah, I mean both of these are light, kind of yellowish, orangish drinks.
But this should be pretty refreshing. But this has the most alcohol tonight by like a pretty significant degree.
Oh, it smells good.
It smells so good. I just want to...
Yeah, I taste the alcohol. Ooh.
I do taste alcohol now.
I'm letting you know, though. I taste the tequila through all three drinks.
Yeah.
I taste whatever that hint of something.
It's got to be the aging with the herbs.
I think it's the herbs and probably the bourbon.
Right.
This is really good. I agree. You can definitely taste the alcohol. I think the other one, that was like one of those drinks that you just drink.
Yeah.
And you never know.
I think it's the vanilla and allspice kind of covered up.
Yeah. This one, I think, it doesn't necessarily do the covering up. It more accentuates the flavors where you're tasting a little bit of that champagne. You're tasting that tequila through it all.
Yeah. And you're getting the warmth of like other alcohols as well.
I think it would not be as good with a straight tequila. I really like whatever that herb piece
whatever it's adding.
Yeah.
Puts another layer on top of it.
Really good.
I'm a fan. I really like the bite of the champagne. I think it like the slight amount of bubbles to just add to it.
I agree. I'm really interested when we get to the end of this section to hear what you all think your favorite drink was.
I have to think about that.
Because I'm lost. I don't know what mine is.
They're so very different.
They're so different.
Yeah.
They looked so similar.
Yeah, they look similar but are so different. For the third and final section, I'll go ahead and kick us off here for my favorite duo, or one of my favorite duos here. And again, it's a nostalgia, and again, it's a human and animal companion.
He's keeping the archetype all the way through.
I can't stop. You know them. You love them.
Uh-oh.
You've seen them before. If there's a mystery that needs to be solved...
Oh, the Ghostbusters.
If traps are involved, you've got the Mystery Gang coming up. And
how many people is that?
It's the whole thing. But I think the most famous duo of the Mystery Gang is, of course, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. A lovable duo. Shaggy's literally like an American shonen like anime protagonist.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah. Not only is he memed to heck right now, where you have like
Ultra Instinct Shaggy. Yeah. You have Shaggy at 1% power level.
Yeah. But he also, I think the dynamic between Shaggy and Scooby is like again, it's another comedy duo where the humor is that why on earth would these two characters come and be a part of a group that solves mysteries when they are like the most terrified people ever?
Because of the food.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's all for the love of the game.
All for the love of the... And normally they, like, they're not really helping with the investigation. They just accidentally trip over or annoy the bad guy
It's
enough.
Pink Panther.
Yeah, exactly.
How is this guy the inspector? Same thing.
How did he get this job? Yeah, I think a very kind of influential duo for my childhood, for our childhood.
Yeah.
What I think is crazy is that this was in the 60s,
Yeah.
was in the 70s, was in the 80s.
Yep.
It hasn't stopped.
It just has not stopped.
It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, and it's what's funny about it is that you can look at the cartoons today; they're a little bit different. They're a little bit different artwork, but then you can look at the ones in the '60s and say, "Oh, I know where they came from."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the characterizations, even the movies, tried very hard to match up with that characterization.
It's true.
See, the thing is, I remember watching like Scooby-Doo on like Boomerang. when
Right.
It was still a
On
thing.
VHS.
Yeah. Like it has been a classic forever, and like you said, it's been rebooted so many times. There have been so many different variations. There have been so many different art styles.
Yeah.
But at the end, for the most part, it's still like the same kind of
The core.
the core of these characters.
You ready?
Yeah.
It's children CSI. There are 60 seasons.
That's so true.
The cast is the exact same. You don't know how they don't age.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're doing the same thing every episode.
Yeah. But it's kind of lovable.
Absolutely.
Like I think if I really wanted to get super invested in a show, it's not a show that's going to give me a bunch of emotional depth, but like a Monster of the Week show where I just watch as like a comfort thing every once in a while. I love it. And I think Shaggy and Scooby are kind of the more relatable pair.
Yeah.
Because like I'd be terrified too if someone came out of the water looking like a swamp thing
It's
or
true.
whatever. And I just want to eat a big sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all of the characters are two-dimensional stereotypes. So.
Yeah. They're so archetypal.
Absolutely.
They're
You know?
so archetypal.
And I think that's why it translates. Is
Like
because
the
there's
worst way.
Yeah.
in a word, yeah, exactly.
It shows it's two-dimensional in the most insulting way. and yet it's so successful because it doesn't try to hide it.
Right. And it doesn't try to be something it's not.
Yeah.
Like Fred is literally like the dumb hot guy who loves traps.
Yeah.
Daphne literally like the
Dumb pretty girl.
yeah, dumb pretty girl. Velma's like the smart girl.
The stereotypical
Yeah.
nerdy,
nerdy.
no physical prowess.
Yeah. My glasses.
Wears
yeah.
a sweater that's down to her knees, you know.
Yeah. And again, it's literally like major stereotypes, and these characters are characterized by like one thing.
One aspect.
Fred is like traps. Velma is like glasses.
Brain.
Yeah. And like Shaggy, Scooby, food.
Food and frayed.
Yeah.
But they all have their quips except for Fred. Whoever pitched it was onto something. It should not exist. I think there have been...
My theory is that whoever pitched this never thought it'd go so far.
I agree. Because you're like, oh, they're going to say jinkies, zoinks. You know, they are so 70s coded as well.
Growing up, did people say jinkies
No.
and zoinks?
No.
Right? Like, they are definitely in that 70s era, like, trying to match it, though.
It's actually happened at the same time as a Brady Bunch. So there was a lot
That
of
makes so much sense.
it was just so similar to
Yeah.
that parallel.
But anyways, like Shaggy and Scooby, I think are such a great duo.
They're a ride or die together.
Yeah, for real, ride or die. And I think not only are some of their quips really funny, but also a lot of the like slapstick, the physical comedy in a cartoon.
Yeah.
So funny with like Shaggy carrying Scooby running through like a door, and then a couple doors down, Scooby's running out carrying Shaggy.
So good.
I think has really kind of put the basis for a lot of things. We were actually just watching or rewatching Denzel Curry's Unlocked video for his album.
Because we talked about the album in the previous episode.
Yeah, we talked about the album. We were showing our father, and each song in the Unlocked album, if you haven't seen it on YouTube, is a different art style, and one of those art styles is definitely an homage to Scooby-Doo, with a very similar Kenny Beats doing the same thing, carrying Denzel Curry.
Doing the long hallway shot with many doors and everyone coming out in different orders. Yep. Sometimes it's like the monster chasing the person or the person chasing the monster or the monster carrying the person, It's like very funny, fast, like this is absurd, but honestly, like you're like writing it.
The more I think about this, and the more that we've talked about this, I really love some of these old bits.
Yep.
I know that if it was overdone or overplayed, and some may argue that something like the Scooby-Doo kind of long hallway shot is overdone, but there's still a part of me that loves it, the nostalgia of it.
It's also so genuine.
Yes. And I remember you actually had a project when you were in school.
Yeah, I tried to recreate it.
You did something very similar.
With the garage.
Yeah, with the garages. Yeah, I tried my best to that was like my moment. Like,
and I love that.
But you see it like Clue. If there's a hallway and doors,
exactly. Oh my gosh.
And I think that it's such, with different characters, it makes it just different.
And when we watch a lot of different media, I think Nick and I stay a lot more into the animated media, but we do kind of venture out, especially recently.
Oh my god,
a lot of live
so many. My friend movies is like sending me lists and lists.
But I think a lot of times when we're talking about media crossover, and this is getting so off topic, but really quickly, when we're talking about media crossover, there are certain things that anime and animation can do so much better.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that is not only like facial reactions, but also like very exaggerated facial reactions with like little, like the angry marks that they do, or like the irritated marks that they do in anime. Like that is another kind of thing that happens.
It takes emotion to an additional level.
Right. And there are certain things that anime and animation can do that you just cannot translate over into live action. But I think this bit is something that
it's universal.
It transcends everything.
It's universal.
And there's something so lovely about that.
And it's so simple.
Yeah. So I love that, and I love Scooby-Doo and Shaggy. I know we didn't actually really talk about their dynamic a whole time.
But like everyone knows it.
Yeah, it's just like
big eaters, big scaredy cats.
Yeah. And then ultimately they catch somebody.
And ultimately they are usually the crutch.
Yeah,
they're either the bait, like on purpose or on accident. Like it'll be like, now we got to do is set a plan, and then it immediately pans to Shaggy and Scooby walking alone.
Right.
Like you know exactly what's happening, but like they would never leave each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like they're the ride or die. They're like, oh, we're terrified, but as long as we're together, it's fine.
And we get a Scooby snack.
Listen, Scooby gets a Scooby snack. Well, guess what? Shaggy gets a Scooby snack some of the times as well.
I think this also goes back to like and maybe this is where like the Natsu and the Happy kind of relationship come from, or stem from at least a little bit, in the fact that like Shaggy views Scooby way more than just like a dog.
Yeah.
Like they are best friends.
I mean, when they're in the back after eating a large meal.
Yeah, they're getting, yeah, like Shaggy is covering Scooby's meals, and Scooby is just chowing down with him.
But I love them, and I think they're a great duo, and kind of something that really kind of influenced my childhood as humor.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, Nick, let's do yours.
Me?
Yeah.
You're switching it up.
I love switching it up because I don't remember the order every time.
Incredible. Yeah. So my number one is a pair that is inseparable.
Okay.
That are so in sync that they view themselves as one entity most of the time.
Oh, okay.
This is from an anime called No Game, No Life. and it is a
which comes from a short novel,
which comes from a light novel, and it is a brother and sister named Sora and Shiro, and they are siblings, and they go by blank together.
Like it's their like gamer tag.
They are heavy gamers. They are nerds to the maximum. Their catchphrase is blank has never known defeat. So in like the real world, the anime starts with like these 4 people fighting like hundreds of people in like a PvP game. Mm-hmm. And by the end of it, the 4 people win. And you're like, wow, that's crazy. And like they don't have any name tags. It's just blank. Mm. And they're like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe these 4 people are so strong. And then it pans to this like dark, dingy, messy room with the brother and sister playing with their hands and feet on these 4 computers. Oh. And they're just like, yeah, anyway, so this is how it happened. The 4.2 cooldown didn't go off. Like really nerdy stuff.
And like when he says hands and feet, he literally means it's like one hand on the mouse, one hand on the keyboard, one foot on a mouse, one foot on a keyboard, and they're both doing like
they're both playing 2 characters.
Yeah, and that's like the establishing. Yeah. The core of No Game No Life for you who has not seen it and listening is right after this moment they get an email. They are completely anonymous because they're blank, but they get an email from a mysterious saying, Do you ever feel like you were born in the wrong world? Do you ever feel that society has rejected you because of your passions and your prowess? And they're like, yeah, it's a weird email, but I guess so. And then they get challenged to a game of chess. And after like hours is what it's assumed, they win. And they are immediately brought to a different world by the god of games. Oh. And he says, you have beaten me in a game. That means you deserve to come to a world, my world, where everything is decided by games. Murder is illegal. Any sort of violent crimes or of that nature is absolutely banned. That cannot happen in this world. Everything is decided through simple games so long as you agree to it. And it's just them just absolutely going crazy in the world because they are super gamers. Like anything, any sort of concept of a game, they have mastered it or are very familiar with it.
They're also both like hyper intelligent.
Yeah. I figured that, yeah.
One, the brother, Sora, is like socially intelligent. Not for like him, they're both extremely antisocial.
Yeah.
But he's very like attuned to people's reactions, and like emotional cues.
Like
so he can do tells.
He's like a poker player, right? Like he reads people kind of well.
And then Shiro, the sister, is like the super intellectual math like stereotype.
The calculation.
Yeah, she says that chess is no different than tic-tac-toe because she can see every single result.
Right.
And they work together, and basically they eventually become the rulers of the human world, or the human realm, the kingdom. And it's basically just a crazy, crazy show. But through and through, they are inseparable. Their catchphrase, blank has never known defeat, is true. Whenever they're apart, that's not true. Because Sora and Shiro can lose.
No.
But blank has never known defeat.
They also like have... The show is funny. They have like weird separation anxiety from each other.
Incredible things. Like there was a moment where they were like talking in a room and a third person like threw the brother out of the room and the sister and brother just like panic attack and like just like curl up in a ball like where'd you go I don't see you, I can't feel you, like and stuff like that. Like they have to always be together. And from my point of view, that is like the perfect duo because they act as like one person. They have absolute trust in each other.
It's also crazy because, again, it's like that duo where, like, when I'm with you, we can do anything.
Yeah.
But if I'm alone, I am nothing.
Yeah, like, I can't do it.
I cannot do anything.
Can't cook dinner, can't...
Basically.
Slightly unrelated, but I love the concept of, like, the world building and the fact that, like, murder is illegal. Everything is resolved by games. We were literally just talking about not too long ago a game called Infinite Nikki.
Yeah, Infinity Nikki.
Yeah, everything in Infinity Nikki is resolved via fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gods of the world have set in effect, if you ever commit a violent crime, you will be tormented by unbearable pain for the rest of your life.
So anytime there's a dispute or anytime the Team Rocket, the bad guys show up, it's all determined by basically a fashion.
They're like, hey, you punk, you think you can get through us? How cool are you? And then they like whip out a suit and they put on cool shades and they're like, what do you got? And you're like, I got a bag and a sweater. And they're like, whoa, cool.
That's so cool. All right, I hate to admit it, but you win this round. Here's the blueprint to make a cool hat.
Yeah.
That's so strange.
It's a very fun game. But yeah, it's of that nature where the rules of the world have shifted so drastically where it's not the threat of violence or death, it's the threat of just not being able to overcome it through however your prowess is.
Pretty cool.
It's really interesting. The show deserved more.
Yeah, it only got one season.
And a movie which is
completely unrelated.
Yeah. All right, before we run out of time, I want to make sure we're getting everything done. Dad, what is your last duo?
My last duo is the exact opposite.
Uh-oh. Like no. People who...
These two people are never together.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
All right. Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner.
Maybe we should have defined a duo.
I feel like you've just created enemies.
So... if you ever watch it, and I watched a lot of it.
By the way, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner, you're talking about like Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes, yeah. Which I think is just called the Roadrunner, right?
Right, just the Roadrunner.
Or it might be Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner.
It was called the Roadrunner, I think.
Yeah.
But you knew the coyote's name was Wile E. Coyote.
It's true.
And so if you watch it long enough, you know that the Roadrunner's just having fun.
Yeah.
He just wants to run.
Yeah.
Wile E. Coyote thinks he has to catch him.
Yeah.
But like every great foil, one cannot be alone. And there's usually nobody else there. It's just those two people.
It's always in a desert.
It's almost like a Tom and Jerry situation.
Yeah, like you had said Tom and Jerry, and I was like, that's pretty close to the same thing.
Yeah.
Where they have to do it. Or the sheepdog and the wolf. Have you ever seen that cartoon?
I don't think so.
The sheepdog has got hair over his eyes. He can't see. He's watching the sheep, and so the coyote goes like the wolf goes like this to get in there. As soon as he touches the sheepdog gets him, pounds him, and then throws him out of the flock. And then when they leave, they do the time card and go, talk to you later, Joe. Yeah, thanks, Frank. And they go off to their houses.
That's crazy that they added a time.
That's a really good bit, though. Yeah. That's a really good bit.
So whenever I see them, it's like, okay, this is their job to chase each other.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, they just go off and do whatever they do. And in my mind, they live together. Because there's no one else out there.
They're like roommates.
They're roommates.
They're roommates. Like, oh, we're off the clock. Yeah, you want to go watch that movie?
Let's go home.
Who's making dinner?
Yeah. What are we having for dinner, right? It just, obviously not Roadrunner.
Yeah. But I get it. I actually get that perspective, though. It makes sense because the only other entity usually in that show is just Acme.
Yeah, the Acme delivery guy.
Yeah.
He's the only other person that's usually in it.
The bombs person.
Yeah.
And it's always Acme by the Roadrunner Company.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's times when they go Roadrunner Company.
Oh, interesting.
So, but yeah, so I once again, this is 70s Saturday cartoons at its very best.
Yeah.
And it just, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, a great duo for sure. And then, yeah, like I said, I was thinking about Tom and Jerry, which has a very similar vibe in the fact that they're not really, like, together. They're not really a duo. It's more of like an enemy duo, but
they're always consistently...
They're always, like, always portrayed together. You never really see them outside.
They're not
themselves.
Apart.
Yeah.
And that's why, when we talked about this, duo means a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I mean, can you have Joker without Batman?
I mean, that's a big question.
Yeah.
So
that starts getting into ethical things too, where like if Batman didn't exist, would Joker exist?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the live action, the best one, Joker's hanging upside down and says, "You can't kill me." Right? If you kill me, then you don't exist.
This is like a Sherlock and Moriarty
exactly.
paradox.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, so which one did you like best?
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Have you decided?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
I would normally have said that the first one was my favorite. Because I'm more of a whiskey scotch straight alcohol one. However, I'm also a huge champagne drinker.
Oh.
And so this one...
I think you did mention that last episode.
This one really hits a spot on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I really do like it. It's refreshing. I love the bubbles. I can taste the dryness of the champagne, which hits my palate the right way. Plus, once again, whatever that little extra thing with the tequila...
You can taste it.
...is just... remarkable. It's like a well-aged whiskey. You get that extra thing that you can't quite describe. So I think this is my favorite.
I think I want to do a shot of the tequila by itself to really capture the flavor of it at some point. But I think my favorite drink, this one was really good. I really like this one. I'm not as big of a fan of an old-fashioned, but I still think it was good. I do think my favorite was the Sunrise and Rain. Sunrise and Rain, the second drink that we had.
Sunshine in the Rain.
Sunshine in the Rain.
There it is.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of the tequila,
I think I'm a rare choice. I think I'm going to go with Dad on this one.
Whoa.
I think the Coletti Royale was so good because I could taste... This was such a layered drink,
right? Yeah.
Which I really, really enjoyed. I think the Sunshine in the Rain, so easy to drink. It was so easy to drink. But this one, it had so many layers. Like you said, I got the bite of the champagne. I got the tinge of tequila. I could taste the Cointreau. I could taste the elderflower liqueur a little bit, and then just the orange juice and lime juice just to add it to make it digestible at the very end.
Yeah. I
thought it was so fun.
Right. So there we are. I will say it. If you like what you like.
Like what you like.
Like what you like. If you'd like to subscribe. Put on the notifications.
Oh, my goodness.
He has to do it.
Yeah, he has to do it. It's a slave to the machine.
And if you're a distillery or a brewery and you'd like us to sponsor us, hey, we'll drink whatever you send.
You don't even need to sponsor us. Just send us a location. We'll go.
Well, put the pin down. We'll be there.
I think this was a very fun episode, though. It sort of wasn't really about duos.
Yeah, we diverted a lot.
It was like a nostalgia trip, but really highlighting what we really value in like character dynamics, I think.
True. Well, we're just about out of time. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.